Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Billy Napier, the Florida Gators, going on the road to play Texas A&M. Now, we've already done our preview and prediction episode on this matchup. I wanted to take a deeper dive. And for many of y'all who've been rocking with the boys the last couple of years, y'all know there ain't no better way to take a deeper dive into a football game than a good old-fashioned roster battle. We're going to go position group by position group, stack these two teams. We're going to try to answer two different questions. Number one, what team has more talent heading into this matchup? More importantly than that, where are the talent advantages for both of these football teams going into this matchup? Fired up to get into it. Before we do, and as always, number one, both of these fan bases have shown a ton of love, a ton of support to the boys over the last couple of years. We appreciate that more than you guys know. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And more importantly than that, look, subscribing to the boys. It helps out in a massive way. But more importantly than that, please let it fly in the comment section, especially for this episode where I went back and forth on what position groups I would take multiple different times. So please let it fly. Without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start at the top with the quarterback position. DJ Lagway, Marcel Reed, what quarterback are you taking in this matchup? To me, the answer is pretty obvious from the sample size that we've seen in 2025. And the answer is Marcel Reed. I think this kid continues to get better at the sport every single time he takes the field. The biggest step that Marcel Reed has taken is, number one, way better weapons around Marcel Reed. That has allowed him to be a little bit more explosive as a thrower of the football. More importantly than that, little bit more of a difference maker when it comes to extending plays, keeping his eyes downfield, and punishing teams when they can't keep him in the pocket. Go back to last year with Marcel Reed. Look, we know this kid's a very dynamic athlete. And when he wants to tuck the football and go be an athlete, it's very elusive. It's very hard to take down. The step that he has taken is, hey, when it's not perfect, I'm going to go be an athlete. But at the same time of being an athlete, hey, I'm going to get outside the tackle box. I'm going to keep my eyes downfield, and I'm going to look to punish teams as a playmaker outside of the pocket. His ability to keep his eyes downfield, be a little bit more composed in the pocket and less trigger happy to tuck the ball and run, by far the biggest step that he has taken, and has gotten way more consistent with the easy throws, the short stuff, the intermediate stuff. He's hitting those throws much more consistently than he did back in 2024. The one bugaboo that seems to continue to pop up is when we have the opportunity to punish teams vertically down the field and throw that deep ball, you still want to see him dial it in a little bit more. That's the step. If Marcel Reed takes that step over the next couple of weeks, this kid emerges as one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC. DJ Lagway. There are two really frustrating parts about what we've seen from DJ. And number one, it's very important to note the version of DJ Lagway that we just saw against Texas was by far the best version of this kid that we have seen all year long. Can he replicate that on the road against Texas A&M? Because if he does, Florida's a very hard team to beat. The two biggest frustrations, number one, as a difference maker, as a guy that gets outside the pocket and shrugs defenders off and makes off-platform throws, you haven't really seen that part of his game. There were a lot of moments last year, DJ Lagway, the athlete, DJ Lagway, the off-platform thrower, would make a jaw drop. I feel like you haven't seen a ton of those moments to start 2025. The other thing that I'd note is, is the completion percentage 69%? Is that way better than what it was last year? Yeah, that's awesome on paper. The biggest issue is, why is that completion percentage so much higher? We ain't pushing the ball down the field like we did last year. DJ Lagway, who last year was one of, if not the best, deep ball throwers that we saw in the country, he is 3 of 12. 20-plus yards down the field. Number one, DJ Lagway has not been as sharp, but for some reason, Billy Napier's not asking DJ Lagway to push the ball down the field nearly as much as he asked DJ to do it last year. Not sure why that is. Maybe the injection of a big body wide receiver like Dallas Wilson will fix that. We got to see this kid uncork it more vertically down the field, because that is when DJ Lagway is at his best as a quarterback. You haven't seen him extend plays as well. You haven't seen him push the ball down the field as well. The turnovers continue to be a little bit of a problem. If we can get those things cleaned up, we all know how talented DJ Lagway can be. But from the sample size that we've seen, I think it's pretty dang obvious that you take Marcel Reed. I think he's one of the more underrated quarterbacks that we see in the country. Running back position. This is when it starts getting really tough. You go back and forth. Now, here's my take on the running backs. I think Texas A&M has a little bit of a deeper running back room, especially with what you saw from Reuben Owens last week against Mississippi State. I mean, Le'Veon Moss is the hammer. He's working through a little bit of an injury, but nobody runs harder in this conference than Le'Veon Moss. Reuben Owens being a little bit more of that lightning back, who I will say this, is running between the tackles with physicality way better than he did before his injury as a freshman. Here's what I'll say, though, and this might be a hot take, and Texas A&M fans might be pissed at me. I think Jaden Baugh is the best running back on the field. Jaden Baugh, you start looking at the numbers. Jaden Baugh, 25 missed tackles forced on the year. That is more than Le'Veon Moss and Reuben Owens combined. I think Jaden Baugh is one of the most difficult running backs to tackle in the country. And that is, you talk about storylines of storylines. Florida's going to want to go on the road and run the football here. I don't think they want to ask DJ Lagway to drop back 40 times in this game with how good Texas A&M's pass rush is. How well does Texas A&M, specifically in that linebacker room, tackle Jaden Baugh? Really big story. I'll say this about Texas A&M, and we'll get to the linebackers in a little bit. The thing I love the most about what I've seen from Texas A&M the last 2 weeks, they're tackling at an elite level. They had 5 missed tackles against Mississippi State. They had 6 missed tackles against Auburn. Those are extremely good numbers. If you can replicate that tackling ability against one of the best backs that we see in the country, you put yourself in a really good chance to win. Wide receiver position. Similar conversation, but reversed. Do I think that what's the best wide receiver duo on the field? Is it Dallas Wilson or Vernell Brown, or is it Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver? This might piss some Florida fans off, but I'm going to go with Texas A&M because of this. When I look at Mario Craver and Casey, they have the ability to beat teams in so many different ways. And Mario Craver, he's a 10-6 guy in the 100-meter dash coming out of high school. His vertical speed is elite. And if you give him the opportunity to win vertically down the field, he will. But at the same time, I don't think there's been a more dynamic player in the country with the football in his hands more than Mario Craver. And so both Casey and Mario Craver's ability to win vertically down the field, but also win in terms of yards after the catch, that's something I love about these Texas A&M wide receivers. Now, the reason you might lean Florida, that Florida's just got more guys that can hurt you. You know, if there's not a lot of problems to take up with Texas A&M, maybe one problem is it's kind of centered around Casey and Mario Craver. Ashton Bethel-Roman's a good football player. Terry Bussey is going to be a good football player, but we haven't seen those two young wide receivers necessarily take this step that a lot of us were expecting. And so you kind of two-dimensional with the Texas A&M wide receivers. I look at Florida. I mean, it's multi-dimensional. Number one, Dallas Wilson. I said Mario Craver is the best wide receiver on the field. Dallas Wilson and his performance against Texas, he's making you rethink that a little bit. Vernell Brown's one of the best freshman wide receivers in the country as well. Then you look at a guy like Adam Mizell. You look at a guy like Jay Mike. I mean, Eugene Wilson, we all know what Eugene Wilson can be. I think he's been a significant disappointment for Florida to start 2025. They have so many different guys that can beat you in different ways. I think Texas A&M from a top-end conversation is more talented with those two top wide receivers, but I think Florida's a little bit more multidimensional. You can kind of take what wide receiver you would want. I think Texas A&M fans going to rock with their guys. I think Florida going to rock with their guys, and I don't blame either fan bases for taking their guys here. Offensive line. Both offensive lines that you like a lot. I mean, if you were to rank the offensive lines in the preseason, Texas A&M and Florida would probably be in the top 3 when you're ranking them in the SEC. I'm going to take Texas A&M, and I'm going to take them for one primary reason. They're more complete of a unit. We use this analogy all the time when we're evaluating offensive line play, I should say. You're only as good as your weakest link. You can have 4 really solid offensive linemen, but if you have one that struggles, it's hard to be a great unit. And I look at Florida and say, look, I like a lot of these players on the offensive line, but that right tackle position, whether it's Caden Jones, whether it's Bryce Lovett, I don't think have inspired a ton of confidence. And then I'm looking at Cassius Howell that's coming off the edge and say, I mean, Cassius Howell versus Caden Jones or Bryce Lovett, who are you taking? I think the answer is pretty damn obvious. You're taking Cassius Howell. When I look at Texas A&M, the biggest storyline here is, one, they can ass kick when they want to ass kick. What I mean by that is when they want to go inside zone or power and they want to move bodies off the line of scrimmage, we know they can do that in the run game. The biggest thing for Texas A&M, they've taken a massive step in what this unit has done in pass protection, and it starts with Texas A&M's right tackle, Demetrius Crownover. Look, we know he can move bodies off the line of scrimmage. He was not great in pass protection last year. Him and Ruben Fothery were at times liabilities. Demetrius Crownover this year has been really damn good in pass pro. So I'm taking Texas A&M because I trust all 5 of their offensive linemen. I'm not sure if I trust all 5 of Florida's offensive linemen. And you're going on the road to College Station, one of the most hostile, loudest environments that you see in the country. What offensive line am I taking Saturday night? Probably taking Texas A&M's. Defensive line, this is where it gets, again, very, very contested. I'll start with this. Who is the best pure pass rusher that you see on the football field? I think that answer is pretty obvious, and that's Cassius Howell. And I don't say that lightly to the Florida fans that might be yelling at me through their screen, because I think Tyreek Sapp's a top 50 NFL draft pick. George Gunn's going to be playing in the NFL. Jaden Woods is a future first-round NFL draft pick, too. I really do like what Florida has, specifically from their pass rushers. But who's the best one on the field? And Cassius Howell might be a top 10 NFL draft pick. My biggest concern for both of these football teams, how well they hold up in the middle of the defensive line. Now, to start with Texas A&M, Albert Regis, hammer against the run. Tyler O from Iowa State has been everything Texas A&M would have wanted. DJ Hicks has taken the step. I think you got 3 guys that you trust a lot. When you look at Florida without Caleb Banks, are we a little bit concerned about Florida holding up from a physicality standpoint against a bunch of rogue raiders on Texas A&M's interior offensive line? When Texas A&M wants to run their power concepts and they want to run their inside zone concepts and they just want to move bodies off the line of scrimmage, does Florida without Caleb Banks have enough guys to withstand what Texas A&M wants to do? It's a huge storyline here. Now, this is what I'll say. I was impressed with what I saw from Akai Borio. I was really impressed with what I saw from Brian Taylor against Texas, and I was impressed with Jeremiah McLeod. The question is, Texas didn't really challenge this unit against the run. They didn't run the football all that much. Texas A&M is going to do it, and they're going to do it with a lot of power concepts. Can Florida without Caleb Banks hold up in the middle of the defensive line? That is another monster storyline to watch, and for that reason, I'm going to take Texas A&M. Linebacker room, 2 studs here, man. Torian York, the way this kid's played the last 2 weeks. Miles Graham, the way he's played for Florida. 2 of the better linebackers in the conference. Now the question is, all right, what's the rest of the room looks like? I'm going to lean. I don't have a strong take, but I'm going to lean with Florida here because I look at Miles Graham and I look at Jaden Robinson, then I look at Aaron Childs. Those 3 linebackers have all been really damn good. And I look at Texas A&M and say Torian York and Damian Sanford, they've been really good. Scooby Williams is working through an injury. I mean, shoot, it's really close. It's another one of those situations where I think Texas A&M fans probably taking their linebackers, Florida taking their linebackers, and I don't have a strong argument either way. I think I trust more bodies in Florida's linebacker room. Secondary, last conversation, and a big conversation, because I think you got some really good wide receivers on both sides of the football field. What defensive back room holds up more? The thing that concerns me the most about Florida is they did give some opportunities vertically against Texas. Arch Manning made some of the throws. Arch Manning missed some of the throws, but some of those deeper third shots were there, right? the biggest question is, can Marcel Reed capitalize on some of those opportunities? That storyline number one. I have a slight lean to Texas A&M because I think Des Ricks and Will Lee have been really, really damn solid. We might have overreacted a little bit to Texas A&M secondary after that Notre Dame game. Turns out Notre Dame just might have one of the best passing attacks that we see in the country. I look at Florida, especially with the injury to Dejon Johnson. I thought Kermani McClain, who in spot duty has been pretty damn solid for Florida over the last couple of years, or over the last year and a half, I should say, as a starter last week. I thought he struggled a little bit. I'll probably take Texas A&M because I think I know what I'm going to get a little bit more. Two solid secondaries as well. The biggest takeaway for me is these teams on paper. This is why this game is going to be really fun, because talent to talent, both of these teams have a lot of talent. Both of these teams have a lot of NFL draft picks, and neither of these teams have really obvious flaws in their personnel. And that's there's not a lot of teams in the SEC that can say that. I mean, you look across the SEC, almost every other team has certain flaws and certain question marks. And I'm looking at both of these teams and say, hey, find me the eye-popping concern that you have with either of these rosters. The answer is I don't think you have that. We'll close it out there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.